Time to round up another big story from the week, and the one we're talking about this hour, the National Guard. Houston may lose its National Guard unit in just a couple of years. These heroes helped during hurricanes and other natural disasters. The move is meant to balance the federal budget, but at the cost of nearly 200 Army National Guard soldiers. Tang's Armory in West Harris County is on a list to close by 2016. Its troops have been deployed to Afghanistan, Iraq, and Kosovo, and they've helped tremendously here at home. Governor Rick Perry says the closure could hamper response times to natural disasters. We're told the jobs of these troops could be saved if lawmakers pass a certain piece of legislation that's known as House Bill 3930. So this is our topic at the bottom of the hour, and we want to hear from you. You can share your thoughts on our Fox 26 Facebook page. You can also send me a tweet at Sally Mack, Fox 26. In our newsroom again, we have our legal analyst Chris Tritico, news analyst Mustafa Tamiz, and public policy analyst Jackie Bally. All right, good morning again, guys. How big of a hit would this be? I mean, we're talking job losses, cuts to big-time services, right?
Well, this one unit. There's less than 200 people that make up this unit, but it's a very historic unit that has been a part of Texas history since we were a republic, and so the historic value is, I think, probably more than the jobs. The less than 200 jobs can be absorbed, I think, by other Guard units. But the question becomes, if you move this unit, Mustafa Tamiz, to San Antonio or Dallas, and we have a hurricane, now you've got extra costs to get the people back down here to start working on this.
Absolutely. And so in times like that, and it's not frequent, thank God, but when we have a hurricane, we need those guys there, and they've always been there, and they've been a big part of our emergency response. They're at the scene. Just think about what the National Guard did during Hurricane Ike.
You know, Jackie Bally, in the 80s, we went through the base closing part when they were closing bases all over the world and within the United States. It was a big to-do, because nobody wants to lose these bases.
Correct.
But you have to, if you're not going to raise revenue, you've got to find a way to balance the budget, or at least get close to balancing the budget, which has only happened once in my lifetime. But
especially
what are they going to do
when you're throwing millions down the drain and socializing medicine in something called Obamacare? But I digress.
I knew that was coming.
Look, the Texas National Guard has responded to over 150 disasters, and this is part of the Texas National Guard. Unfortunately, the plan of what the federal government or those in the Pentagon want to do, they want to reduce the reserves by 5%. That's going to be a significant hit, because a lot of these reserves respond to disasters. I think the governor is correct. He's dead on this one. And so when you start taking out the National Guard and you start reducing the forces, they're saying that they want to have it to the lowest number that we've had since World War II. That is not a wise decision. You need to look at other areas instead of looking at our military.
You mean since the drawdown after World
Correct.
War II? Okay.
Correct.
That is a problem, isn't it? I mean, isn't there something to be said for we need a National Guard that's big enough to do the job?
Absolutely. And I guess the only difference I have is Jackie's always critical of Obamacare and other government entities. We also have to be critical of DOD. Like, we have these Apache helicopters that we've had for, since the Vietnam War that we've been maintaining. It costs like $79 billion to maintain these helicopters, and most of them are not used at all, because they were originally built to attack, not to rescue. So I think we have to be smart about how we look at deployment and begin to pull back not on the number of troops, but some of these assets that are not needed anymore.
All right, we'll come back to that in a minute. Sally's monitoring our social media accounts.
Well, whenever you talk about, the jobs being cut, our viewers, of course, do not like this. Gloria says we need to find a way to keep them active. I would hate for something to happen for us to find out how vital they are to our safety. And then Carol says definitely opposed to doing away with these jobs. Safety and emergency response should be a priority, especially with the uncertainty of the time. So is it likely that we would see a hit in our response times with these 200 jobs lost?
At times, I think we'll have to, don't you, Jackie Bally? I mean, if you,
yes.
it's less than 200 boots, but that doesn't mean that if a hurricane hits and we have to deploy the National Guard to help, we got to bring them in from somewhere else, that is going to hurt the
And it's 200 here, but
Right.
we're looking at cuts all over the country. I mean, they're saying they're going to reduce the forces by 5%.
Right.
And their job is to protect our safety. And so, yes, we will see a significant hit and impact. That's a large number if you're looking at the overall big picture. And you will see an impact, a delay in helping us during these times. And the whole point of having these reserves is to make sure that we are protected and our safety should be our #1 concern.
So what's the answer? How do you, where do we get the revenue to keep the reserves at the level they are?
Get rid of Obamacare.
Well, that doesn't have anything to do with it.
Jackie just underscored the problem, right? It's that we're down to soundbite politics, that we're not thinking thoroughly about how we should do this. We're not talking about these Apache helicopters. We're not talking about a lot of the military contracting that's there. We're only talking about the same talking points, which is Obamacare, Obamacare, Obamacare. If the House moves off the Obamacare and starts doing their job, we can not only probably keep the, these troops with us, but we can actually find some efficiency in our military.
I'm making light of it, but the whole point is we have to cut down our waste. And so when I say Obamacare, there's a lot of waste in Obamacare.
Also
so that's one
also in the
area.
Department of Defense.
Yeah, there's
That's
plenty in the
one
Department of
policy
Defense
area,
too,
but that's
though.
one policy area that we can look at to cut back on waste. And there are waste in other areas as well.
but-
I am
but-
very much a proponent.
But
for
no one's
smaller
willing to
government.
say to look at the Department of Defense.
All right, and
are you
can-
willing to say that?
And we're going to have to talk about that off the air now because we're out of time. They can get the gloves out when we go off the
I know,
air.
that sounds like a different topic. I can't believe we're not talking about Obamacare in this show, but I'm sure we will next weekend because that's when the
Jackie's
deadline comes around.
She's having convulsions.
Yeah, I bet. Oh my goodness. Well, we're going to see you in our next hour for 2 more really good topics.
All right.
Thanks, guys.